Hey everyone, welcome to another Tuesday Newsday. I'm Alternis, and I am here today with Josh Dirksen of Lynnvander Studios. How are you, Josh?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good. Now, you were the lead designer for BattleTech Aces, correct?
Yeah, I wear many hats on the project. Pretty much running it and then just sort of pulling folks in for expertise as needed.
Cool. I'm excited to hear about the process and ask you lots of questions today. And I'm sure the chat will have lots of questions for you since we're talking aces. But
Let's
first,
do it.
yeah, first we've got some news. PAX Unplugged is this week, so Josh and I both will be traveling tomorrow to head there.
Yep.
So come to the Catalyst booth. We will have aces there, and Guardians of the Four Winds. Quincy of Quincy's Tavern will be at PAX, so you can come say hi. He's going to be on stream a ton, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we are doing, actually, let me grab my phone because I just confirmed this today. He's going to be doing a live stream walkthrough of Guardians of the Four Winds with Jay Foster of Swole Initiative and Oops All Himbos. And who else did he get me? He got me a comedian. I have to scroll. He was teasing me at one point. Steve Wrigley, who is in a comedy show that he and Jay are doing on Thursday night at PAX Unplugged. And I don't have a name for the last one. Oh, Kyle Shire will be there as well. So Guardians of the Four Winds with several influencers and gamer types. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then there's going to be the Six Sides crew.
Yeah, Paul and the boys.
I heard there's no audio. Is that true? But while Tyler's checking that, so Sunday it's going to be kind of an all Six Sides of Gaming day with. Okay, audio's fine. So there's
Unless it's my audio.
Wait, when you have your speakers muted, you don't hear the audio. But we have Sunday, we're going to have aces. We're going to have, actually, let me pull up the schedule. I have that. So, and this is tentative because I'm still finalizing some stuff. Like I found out today that Lauren is not going after all. So I was like, cool, let me redo the schedule for the 6th. So we've got on Friday.
Many cats, they need herding.
Yeah. Good Morning PAX Unplugged with Quincy and me. This is Friday from 11 to 12 Eastern. It will be Leviathan's updates, demo, and AMA with me and Bryn. Catalyst chat on Friday as well with Lauren and I. So he will be dialing in virtually for that. So Quincy and Mike's board game hour with Mike Ritchie, the board game division director. Quincy teaches Guardians of the Four Winds with Jay Foster and friends. BattleTech chat with this is 3 to 4 with Ray Arastia and Randall Bills and that will be they'll both be virtual. Aces chat with Randall and Josh. And then there will be a Friday night Aces scenario with the Six Sides crew. Then on Saturday we have Good Morning PAX Unplugged with me and Jason Hardy from the RPG division. Catalyst demo team chat with Michael Sierravella and some of our agents on site. Fiction with John Helfers, and he's wrangling some authors to come on with us. Quincy and Mike's board game hour. Kung Fu Panda RPG with Jason Hardy. RPG chat session with Jason Hardy and RJ Thomas about Shadowrun and the other RPGs we have coming. Board game division update with me, Mike, maybe Quincy, and we're unsure, but Tommy Rice might be coming. He's a last minuter, so if he's there, he'll be there to talk Partha Wars. And then Sunday, so far I've got Good Morning PAX Unplugged with the Six Sides crew, Aces, Shadowrun Anarchy, maybe BattleTech Encounters, and there's still like 2 hours open. So there's still some shifting happening. So we'll see what happens, and go from there. So that is our tentative schedule. Whew. In terms of other news, guys, I know that you're waiting for the product schedule, the release schedule. It is still being put together. I did confirm that dates are way off. Like they have something that released already that was like coming up for a future release on the list. I'm like, nope, that's not right. So I don't want to share anything until that's done and finalized. And so he still, our salesperson still needs to meet with Lauren and Randall to get that cleaned up. Also in BattleTech news, we sent out the BattleTech fiction. I'm blanking on the name of what it was. Let me go get it. This was on the
one that's part of the Mercenaries Kickstarter?
Yeah.
It's the Bounty Hunter anthology, but I forget what it's called.
Tales of the Bounty Hunter. This is a BattleTech anthology edited by Phil Lee and John Helfers. The first version that they sent us didn't have the credits page updated, so we got a second one, and that has been uploaded, so that should automatically be fixed for you. So that is in there. I do know as well that for audio for Shadowrun, we've submitted Changeling is coming up. And so that should be publishing soon. We kind of wait on Amazon. Sometimes they're really fast and sometimes they are really slow, and sometimes they spit it back at us and say, fix this thing or whatever. So it's coming, but we don't have set release dates for that. XP Network, we are 2 weeks away from the launch on that. So I'm pretty excited for that. Trivia has been put together. A newsletter went out today with information on that, so just keep sharing that. Let's get that far and wide so that lots of folks are getting XP together. I'm excited to see where that goes after the launch week too, in terms of like, I think I can go in, they need to get me access, but I think I can go in and then you get XP every time you watch Tuesday Newsday because I can set it up in there. If we do streaming at conventions, I can probably get that finagled as well. So I'm really excited to see how I can use this long term. What else? Any other Shadowrun news that I have? I don't think so. Board game division, we're still fresh with the Quincy's Tavern release. Aces, you're starting to see in local game stores. Yeah, that's exciting.
That's been exciting.
And so I'm gonna share a little bit of something with you guys. I'm gonna be a little vague on this because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say yet.
Okay.
But on Sunday, we pushed through an update that updated our online store. And there was a little bit of a period of a glitch where it was down for technical difficulties and stuff, but it's supposed to be, I think, up now. But we are launching some changes that will allow us to finally get some of those swag items and stuff into stock. But we're doing like 120 of our top SKUs first, just to make sure that that goes well.
You have so many. 120 is still a lot.
Yeah, I think the master list was between 1,000 and 2,000, they said, and like,
yeah.
So yeah, we didn't want to do everything, so because that makes more things break. So we did our top first, and then we're kind of moving from there. This is the first step in those, or the first executed step in those changes that will allow, potentially, that's from what I'm told, to fix some of the very high price of international shipping. So I'm very excited for this. I'm hoping that I can share more once I have Lauren on at PAX Unplugged about what's going on there, but that's all I'm really allowed to say. What else? I'm trying to think if I think I've got everything. I also need more detail on this that I will be getting at PAX, but we put this in the newsletter as well. There are BattleTech and Shadowrun Christmas ornaments, and they are going to be free with purchase, but I'm not sure what the minimum is or the requirements of that yet. But they are going to be at PAX Unplugged and then go onto the online store while supplies last. So
that made the highlight for me in this morning's email. I posted that to the local. I'll just share a low-res picture from my phone.
I'm so glad.
They're in the email.
Yeah, I think people will get excited about it. And there are Shadowrun ones too.
There's the Shadowrun ones.
Awesome. So I'm excited to see how those do. That'll be a lot of fun. And then PAX Unplugged usually is our big stream for like what's coming in the next year. I'm a little like, I mean, I'm always excited for it, but we're like right in the middle of contracting several different things. So there's like a lot that we can't quite talk about yet, or like that haven't quite gotten the momentum to like really make it exciting. So there isn't as much news as I would like for some of our new kind of stuff. But I'm hoping that Randall and Ray have some really exciting stuff, because Randall always goes all out, usually when he comes to PAX Unplugged, and shows us lots of what's coming for BattleTech in the upcoming year. He unfortunately can't make it for a family emergency, but he is going to come stream virtually with us. So I'm still hoping that it's fun and special, but we'll see what happens. I'm told we might not be able to get video for our virtual guests because of bandwidth with the internet connection and stuff like that. So if needed, maybe what we can do is get photos in advance and then pull those up while he's talking about them. So we'll see. I'm sharing what I can with you guys because it's a little in the air this year. With flights and everything, it's been kind of rough with flights getting canceled. Okay. By the way, fun fact for one of our team, when in Germany, I shared how I saw a post that Mike Ritchie, our board game director, got bitten by a pony. And his news today is that his plane was delayed because they weren't letting them board because the previous flight that plane did, the plane got struck by lightning. So they had to check it all over and everything. This guy's luck this year. So let's all hope that Mike makes it safe to PAX Unplugged. I think if I heard that, I'd be like, let's do a rental car.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, but so
that's a long drive.
Yeah, I think like 12 hours for him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Josh, let's circle on back to you.
Sure.
Now, Josh, like I guess let's start with BattleTech and Shadowrun. Like, when did you first get into these games?
Let's see. I was literally introduced to BattleTech under the guise of, hey, you should work on this thing. This is a game you should know about and you should play. Tommy, I think, was really the onboarder there. He had played the video games. I had not seen anything BattleTech since like the MechWarrior 2 days. I think I played it for all of 5 minutes on a friend's PC, and always kind of knew that it was there, but to be honest, the original art style back in the 80s didn't really click for me. And coming back to the game now, you can look this up. I mention this every time, but Randall himself taught me how to play the game on stream. It's on YouTube. You can find us playing the Alpha Strike box set.
Awesome.
He introduces the game to me, and no one will be surprised that Randall's dice utterly betray him. But that's one hell of an onboarding into a game that he's super passionate about. Couldn't ask for a better teacher, and so it was not a very big jump from there to taking a lot of the stuff that I had worked on either by myself and self sort of distributed and then done for other publishers in the sort of cooperative miniatures game space between Star Trek Alliance, Dominion War, and Snapship's Tactics. It was not a long skip then to be like, well, could we do something like that for BattleTech, and maybe we should start with Alpha Strike because it's a little more manageable.
Awesome.
And that's kind of how that just like all layered in.
So a couple things on that. First, when Josh or I mentioned Tommy, I mentioned Tommy Rice earlier. He's the former NFL current actor that is doing Partha Wars. We've had him on various streams before. This is
Different
Tommy
Tommy.
Gofton, who is the owner of Lynnvander Studios, Six Sides of Gaming. He plays Chronostatic when we do World of Shadows, and is all over the place. So probably for the rest of this stream, Tommy is going to be Gofton.
I suspect so.
Yeah. And second, like, mentioning that you got to learn to play with Randall, I like really want to take a minute to like bask in that a little bit, because I think we've been lucky enough that I had someone at Gen Con that is a longtime friend of mine. I took a break. We took a commercial break for our stream, and he gave me a big hug, and he's like, "You're GMing for B. Dave Walters," and like I didn't realize that was as huge of a deal as it is to some people. So like getting to learn and play with Randall on a stream and stuff like that is really exciting. So
yeah, it was kind of a bizarre experience because again, I know almost nothing about the IP. He's pitching it to me, and I remember there were some comments on the stream like, "Who's this guy Randall's playing with, and like why?"
yeah, right.
I did, however, find out later that Randall and Bryn had played a whole host of different miniatures games during the pandemic as like a professional development thing, and the Star Trek Alliance box set that I had made with WizKids was among their like favorite games of that block. They were really enamored with the automated opponent, and I think that was really the like, oh, this guy actually could do it, not just Tommy Gofton saying he can do it and that Lynnvander can do it, but like, no, actually we've played some of his work and like it's real good.
Awesome. So. And Lynnvander Studios has done other games for Catalyst. Can you name those?
Yeah, I was actually looking at the shelf up here a moment ago. So I think it all began with Shadowrun Sprawl Ops. We actually met the designer of Sprawl Ops, Dylan Bertolo, through that project, and he ended up doing a lot more work with us afterwards. That was really sort of our first... I mean, Tommy had known Lauren and I think Randall for quite a long time, but that was really the first time that our two companies worked together. We then did Super Camelot. I think that was the second game we did with Catalyst. And more recently, Shadowrun Takedown. Although that one... Where is that one? Because it was a while ago that it was on my plate.
Yeah, the domestic shipment is here. It's going to be fulfilling after we finish with the last wave of mercenaries. So we're hoping by the end of this year. And then international still needs to ship to those hubs and stuff like that. So
cool. So in progress, yeah. Fulfillment happening.
The briefcase is really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Randall did send me a production copy of the game, so I have opened it and looked at it. It's pretty good. Did not know what the release plan or where it was at, because you can imagine with the number of different projects I've touched on or worked on that like the Kickstarter updates alone for just the things I have worked on is an inbox full.
Yeah.
Never mind the stuff I'm like actively following or backing.
Fair. I'm really excited for the briefcase because I'm not going to use it to store Takedown. Takedown's going to get its own spot. But I've been carrying the BattleTech minis case. Has all of my World of Shadows stuff with the book and my dice and everything like that. And I'm like, I should probably put my Shadowrun stuff in a Shadowrun thing. But there's been no box. So I'm really excited to switch that out. My suitcase is going to be very heavy.
I'm sure soon enough there will be a Shadowrun-shaped container for your Shadowrun things.
I think so. We have talked before about a Shadowrun minis game and the minis that are in Takedown being part of that. So more to come for that. But cool. So
it seems inevitable. That's all I'm going to say.
So we got you into BattleTech. You had done some of the AI work on other projects. So I guess like how did the idea for Aces come about, and how is that pitch done? Like how does this become a thing that we're gonna do?
Yeah, so a lot of this was, and you'll see this pattern if you've ever looked at any of the other interviews or heard me talk about any of the other projects we've worked on at Lynnvander Studios, most of them do begin with Tommy Gofton. He really is our, I'll call him the ultimate pitchman. But basically, he and Randall had this conversation at length, and I think sort of behind my back, Tommy did a lot of like pitching that we could do this and that I would be good for it, to do it. And so I don't really know a lot of that story. It was more along the lines of, well, hey, we should really do a proof of concept, because like we're pretty sure it can work, but like, man, this is a very different kind of game than all of the other games you've made automated opponents for. The biggest one is that like Alpha Strike uses a tape measure. The movement is like completely freeform. You go wherever you want. Like all the flight path games that I had worked on and Snapships are both, they have a maneuver tool and a base that lock in, and it's very like regimented. Mm-hmm. So there's some inherent geometry there that you can sort of leverage as an automated opponent in ways that like human players, unless they're very experienced, don't really think about. And there's some cool ways that you can get the automated opponent to do stuff as a result of how that works. You don't have any of that in BattleTech. That's just like garbage, brand new. Okay, start over. Same paradigm, same kind of thought process for like, how do we make it go? But like the nubbins, the interior, all different, right? It has to be a completely different system because it's a completely different game with some different core mechanics.
Yeah. Huh.
I realize that's a little bit of a non-answer. If I'll go a little more specific, I will just say that we put together that beta deck that was available on the Mercenaries Kickstarter in one of the updates.
Yeah.
That was probably about 2 months into development on the project, and getting a round of public playtesting on it, even that early when it was still pretty raw in the middle, was awesome for just sort of seeing where the edges of the sandbox might need to be for a first release.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, so in the process, you've been developing this, and we've made it all the way here. How do you pitch BattleTech Aces to someone that doesn't know what it is?
Yeah. I'll lift the copy from the back of the box, which is
cheating.
Extremely succinct, however, and we did a lot of work to get it that way. Really, there's 2 things in the box. The first is, if you would like to play Alpha Strike either solo or cooperatively with your friends against an automated opponent straight out of the box, any game of Alpha Strike you care to play, there are decks of cards that can drive an entire enemy force against you. So every time it's time to move one of those models, you draw a card. It tells you how that model behaves, what it wants to, where it wants to move to, what it wants to shoot at, and some additional concerns. So, automated opponent. That's big thought number 1. Big thought number 2, and this was not in the original scope of what was pitched, entertainingly enough. The original scope was, hey, we should do this automated opponent so that you can play Alpha Strike co-op. But I said, like, you know, that's like having a really nice set of clothes and not having a fancy event to go to. Like, you have the tools, but you don't have the occasion. And so my real drive was, in talking to Randall about BattleTech and just sort of understanding why the tabletop game is the way it is, how it grew to be the way it is. I didn't appreciate this at the very beginning, but like, narrative is such a big part of BattleTech, and I almost like narrative first in a lot of ways, for how the entire setting moves. And so all of the other projects I'd worked on kind of before that, Star Trek Alliance and Heroes of the Atari Cluster both have a very light narrative aspect, like just enough of a scenario briefing to hang your hat on. But I said, like, no, this should be like so much further along the slider of choose your own adventure BattleTech novel, but you play out all the tabletop battles.
Cool.
Like, I was like, well, if it's such a big narrative focus, then we really need to go full-on narrative campaign. Like, let's give you a setting, a story, build your player force, play that whole campaign end to end, make some decisions about how you're going to respond to the campaign as it unfolds, and, you know, hopefully you feel like at the end of it, that mercenary company that you started is yours. This adventure was theirs, and I hope, you know, that you feel like you were really immersed in the universe. And so this was the first time that I had 2 different folks actually to help write fiction alongside. Previous to that, it's always just been me writing like the absolute stub of fiction I could get away with to, just enough of a hook to hang your hat on and be like, oh, okay, this is what this is about. It's not just some models on a map. But having Dylan Bertolo do the architecture of the branching story and how the different scenarios fit together at a campaign level, and then having Russell Zimmerman actually come in and do the fiction. And actually, John Helfers do editing as well on top of that. So
awesome.
There's a lot of people involved on the fiction end from Catalyst, and I got to benefit a lot from all of that expertise.
Cool. Now, what all comes in the box? And I know I'm kind of leading you here anyway, because you have painted minis to show.
Yeah, well, we'll show those actually separately. I've got them out of the box. Box has... It is quite the laundry list of things, and this is the other thing that happens. When you make a BattleTech box set, everyone goes, well, it should have that, right? This is why there are asset cards in the box for Classic, even though there's no other Classic content. But basically, yeah, you get 7 new mechs, 2 new hover tanks, cardboard tokens for a whole slew of like APCs, infantry, elementals, stuff that if you've got the Mercenaries box set, you'll be familiar with, very similar stuff. You've also got, let's see, a full set of cardboard terrain in Alpha Strike style, just like the buildings that come in the Alpha Strike box set.
Cool. There
is a 4-foot-long cardboard river with a 3D slot-together cardboard bridge, some 3D slot, sort of fold-up slot and tab hills that match the Alpha Strike buildings. So now you have, between the 2 box sets, quite a substantial table, and like a 4x4 play area actually feels a little bit full.
Cool.
But it gave us a lot of variety to make a terrain set that matched the setting of the campaign, but also like, just here's more cardboard terrain, because that's one of the most popular things about the Alpha Strike starter, in my experience. There's a few other things in there too, namely like, all the Aces decks that drive all the stuff. There's about 115, 112 cards, I think, for Aces. 10 of them are commanders, so those drive like how the force of models behaves versus the individual mechs. And then there's some special orders and stuff.
You kind of touched on this, but just to be super clear, even though Aces is a new way to play, you can still use all your mechs from other box sets and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the 9 models that come, and the cardboard tokens that come in the Aces box set, Scouring Sands, are meant to be the opposing force for the campaign. The campaign is set in the Oakland era. It's, I believe, I'm going to get this wrong because I know we've gone back and forth on this a couple times. It's like early 3152, somewhere in the 3152, like just after Hour of the Wolf has happened. Hinterlands are still messed up. Basically, the Alinea Mercantile League is trying to get one of the abandoned Jade Falcon planets out from the thumb of some pesky Jade Falcon remnant, and hire you to come in and smooth things out in whatever way works best. So that is also why the campaign is some branching story and multiple endings. But all the plastic models that come in the box are meant to be those Jade Falcon remnants. They are the Jade Falcon 18th regular Epsilon Galaxy.
Okay. All right, cool. So...
And then, yeah, sorry, of course you can use all your other Alpha Strike models, because the player force is just 400 PV built off the Master Unit list, using the Mercenary list. So, like, I think there's a few thousand variants and models, like, that are canonically, rules suggested by the campaign setup you should use. It's your gameplay however you want. You want to build a different force at 400 PV? Be my guest.
Cool, okay. All right, so... do you happen to have the cards for the AI?
I mean, somewhere. Actually, that's a lie. I have. Which version would you like to see? Do you want the early prototypes? Do you want the printed production ones from the box? I'm sure we have all of it here.
Probably. I want to be able to show people that haven't gotten it yet, like how this works.
Actually, I'm going to unsleeve that one because it's a little bit of glare. Let's try that.
Okay.
That comes through all right?
Yeah, so we've got the aggressive, the balanced, and the cautious. Can you walk us through this?
So first up, actually, the number in the corner, the big number,
Yeah.
is the priority order. So when you have a whole bunch of enemy units, they're all going to activate lowest to highest number. This determines the turn order for the enemy force. In the other corner, there is the roll for the deck. So this is, if you want a unit to play like a sniper, you give it the set of 6 cards that belong to this deck.
Cool.
And then whenever it comes time to actually move these models, you're going to refer to the top card in a unit stack to determine the first little sort of yellow shaded box here at the top of each column is like a behavior check. Like, what's the board situation? Am I going to decide to be aggressive about it? Okay, well, no, that's not true. I'll move to balance. Will I be balanced about the situation, or will I be cautious?
If there are any enemies within 24 inches, that's the balanced for this one.
Yeah, correct. That's a green check mark that means if this model has activated.
Okay.
So beyond that, once you've got a column decided, you then follow down the column to see the next section will tell you zones, how far away to look to see where your target might be. And so models usually prioritize things close to them, not always, because zones have different distances. Okay. But you try and hunt a target within a certain distance. And then after that, you pick a target with a certain color priority, typically, which actually keys into the commander card. There is a second set of cards that you need to leave on the table with your enemy force when you are playing, because that commander has some sort of global priorities that individual units will look to. I'll show you the upright commander card. There's 3 colored columns. So in this case, the red colored column for our Clan Jade Falcon mech warrior here is lowest TMM, most armor lost, and then lowest structure.
Okay.
For red target. Okay. So that will help you identify models in the player force that you might want to hunt. And then once you've got that kind of figured out, the bottom chunk here is a numbered list of where you want to move and what movement type you should use in Alpha Strike. So sometimes that's, get cover. Sometimes that's get as close as you possibly can. Sometimes that's get behind things. But they're all sort of in, what's the phrase I'm looking for? If you imagine filters, there are a whole set of filters to narrow down many possibilities into, most of the time, almost all the time, only one good spot to put that model. Cool. And see how it results.
And how many cards are in the deck?
Each roll has 6 cards, and you'll tuck a stack of those under an Alpha Strike unit card, so you kind of cycle through them for that model. If you have scenarios where you have multiple models that both want to be snipers, for example, you can split the deck in half and just make 2 little 3-card decks. Really, it's about the variety. You want more than 1 card, but not so many that it becomes onerous. Sure. But then, there's all the 8 core role types in Alpha Strike. Well, BattleTech period are in there, so Brawler, Juggernaut, Skirmisher, Sniper, Striker, Scout, Ambusher, Missile Boat.
Cool. Awesome. I feel like you've been quizzed on this before.
Yeah, I have. I absolutely have. And I will mention that these ones have been slightly tuned towards the models in the enemy force that come in the box. Mm-hmm. So the Missile Boat deck that is in this set works really well for bigger, heavier, slow Missile Boat units. Works pretty well for combat vehicles too, because they're typically slow. But for example, one of the other Aces box sets, there is a light mech that is a Missile Boat. And so that Missile Boat deck is actually a little different. So you'll see in future Aces box sets, you can run any of the mechs in the game with this set of Aces decks, but in the future you will see more variations on them, which just give you a little bit more variety in how they play and more granularity to assign them in your own games.
Cool. All right, so we've talked before about more box sets coming for Aces. What does the next set look like?
The second box on the release schedule is called Snowblind. It is also set Il-Clan era. Actually, all 4 of them are set in about the same time period, but they're all in different parts of the Inner Sphere. So whereas Scouring Sands is based in the Hinterlands, in the former Jade Falcon occupation zone, Snowblind is set in the Rasahog Dominion, up against the periphery border, and you are working to secure a battle mech factory during the Dominion Civil War, basically, that erupts as a result of the joiners and deniers disagreeing about whether the Dominion should join the O Clan or not. Some enterprising planetary governor has decided that no, actually, my factory is rather important to the security of the Dominion, and man, it's really annoying that the entire armed force that's stationed on the planet is maybe doesn't see eye to eye with me politically, and maybe I should have some insurance. So you get sucked into the campaign that way. But yeah, your primary antagonists actually in that campaign it's split. The models are primarily Ghost Bear second line mechs in the box set, but there are some Pirate Force as well that show up.
Okay. Do you know what mechs are going to be in it yet? Is that confirmed?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, this had to be confirmed about 2 years ago so that we could start all of the art pipeline for these projects. They were all pitched as part of the settings for the boxes. So when I said we were going to go narrative with it, it was also, well, it's like playing multi-dimensional Sudoku is how I refer to it. Picking BattleMech minis. Because BattleMech minis have to be something that isn't already in a force pack, so we got to do like a new variant that looks as different as possible. It's got to be able to be fielded by, so it's got to be in the MUL for that force at that time in that planet. It's got to be appropriate for the quality of force that is defending the planet, so like they don't have Omnimex if they're a second line clan force. It's got to be probably manufactured near that corner of the inner sphere. And then for my own internal like dimensions on it, it's got to be like, well, I'm gonna only make 7 or 8 mechs. I probably want an even mix of lights, mediums, and heavies, and assaults. I kind of want to make sure I have at least one good variant for every roll deck, so I can reasonably put 8 different rolls in the box and then some. So you can imagine that by the time you filter down this entire, 8-dimensional Sudoku puzzle, that like there's not a very long list of mechs it can be.
Fair. Are you allowed to share with us which mechs they are?
I believe so. I mean, I've talked a little bit about these at Gen Con.
Okay.
I think the one that I'm most excited for of the new sculpts that's coming in Snowblind is the Rime Otter. It is a medium mech, sort of lighter skirmishy kind of Ghost Bear thing. It looks a bit like the Grizzly, but it's jumpier. It's lighter and jumpier.
Okay. All right, cool.
The other fancy new one that's going to be in that box is the Viking 2C, which is a ginormous 90-ton hardened armor missile and gun platform.
Awesome. Now, is the second box, Snowblind, is that also for Alpha Strike?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we've got a run of 4 Alpha Strike boxes. The campaigns in them, while they all use the same rule set, and they're all set in approximately the same era, they are designed so that when you finish playing one with your mercenary company, you can take your force and play another. And
cool.
Even within that, even within Scouring Sands itself, the campaign story is, I mentioned before, it's a little bit of a choose-your-own-adventure feel.
Yeah.
It has branching paths, so there are 21 or 22 scenarios total in the box. You will only see 7 or 8 of them in your playthrough. So even if you finish Scouring Sands and you decide you just really want to play another campaign, just jump back to the beginning and start making different choices. Cool. There is one scenario you will play no matter what, but everything else there's a good story reason for it. It's in the middle.
Okay.
But everything else is sort of like an hourglass. There's a lot of different paths that you can take through the adventure from beginning to end.
Okay. All right. And then I've heard that we're supposed to be doing aces for Classic too, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's been discussed. I would say it's pretty early days on that still.
Okay. All right. All right.
Nothing really worth announcing yet.
Yeah, lets us know kind of what to expect in terms of there's not going to be an announcement at PAX Unplugged this week about it.
There will not be an announcement at PAX Unplugged.
Okay.
I can definitively say that.
Okay, cool. All right. Anything else that you want to add before we switch over to Q&A?
No, I think I've been sort of keeping an eye on chat.
Yeah, let's jump
see
on
what people
over.
were saying. I'm just going to jump back to the top.
So my first question for you is from Billy. You added co-op and single player with aces. What new game mechanic would you like to add to aces in the future?
So 4 box sets in, and again, part of the advantage of pitching them as 4 box sets meant that we got to pick 4 totally different biomes, 4 totally different opposing forces, so different scenery, different Aces decks tuned different ways, different commanders. Like, the amount of Alpha Strike fold-up terrain that you will have when you have all 4 boxes in hand is a little terrifying, but it's also, it becomes the ultimate sandbox then, because then, like, between the stuff that comes in all these boxes, you're going to have a lot of good, serviceable parts to design your own scenarios or to use them in your own games, you know, even if you don't have a big fancy table. So there's a lot of cross-compatibility there. There were a few things that did not make the cut for the sake of box set product, because they didn't quite make sense. One of the things that's near and dear to me in Alpha Strike is actually aerospace. I asked this question at KerenskyCon. I asked all the Kerenskys who had ever played with aerospace fighters in Alpha Strike. No hands went up. So it's the last 5 or 6 pages in the Alpha Strike Commander's Edition rulebook are for playing with aerospace fighters in Alpha Strike. I will just say this, if you've never played it, bust out your Shylone from the Clan Invasion Kickstarter and try it. It's actually really cool. And so I have a design for an aerospace deck that did not find its way into any of the box sets.
Aww.
It didn't make sense. Aerospace is a little too weird, but I think there's a lot of possibility. We have talked about whether Aces cards will be available outside of box sets. That's a discussion that many people have asked us about, and we've talked about internally a lot. I think the answer is yes, but they will be different. They will be different Aces cards than the ones in the box set.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
So, like, doing a small card pack, for example, lets us make a more tightly themed one without also taking on the development burden of writing a whole campaign or, you know, making a whole box set for it. So we can do some new commanders, we can do some additional, you know, other changes and fine tweaks to Aces cards, and maybe get some of those other weird rolls in there, like the aerospace ones. It's a good place to do that.
Cool. Now, Dirk asks, question to the future of Aces, will the card sets from future box sets be combinable?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you really wanted to, you could take all 24 Brawler cards, 6 from each box set, smash them into a 24-card deck. You would probably, it would be a little bit less predictable, because there's just, those 4 Brawlers are all tuned a little differently. So that guy would be like, oh, wow, I don't really understand what he's going to do. He's going to be a Brawler, but he's going to have some very different ideas moment to moment about what he might be doing as a Brawler. I will also say that it is possible you could just design a custom Aces deck by taking any 6 of them, or any number of them really, and smashing them together. Some of them across different roles actually do work quite well together. Like Sniper Missile Boat is an interesting combo, especially if you've got something like a Catapult that's got a mix of, you know, LRMs and direct fire weapons. That can actually work really well. Something like Brawler and Scout, maybe not so much. Maybe it depends on how heavy your Scout is. Brawler tends to assume he has armor and is going to play like he has armor. So if you put, if you give that deck to a light mech, it might not go so great. But there's a lot of, like, it's all, there are almost no limitations about how you can build and assign those decks. And in fact, one of the fun design spaces we have in the campaign is we can actually swap out, like, a deck midway through a scenario. It's like, oh, this guy was playing as a sniper, and then like, oh, now he can be a brawler. He's got a different idea now because something has happened, and can change his logic on the fly.
Takeo asks, rule of get closer to does not say it includes having the target and attack range. But if you don't treat it that way, the unit would often run behind a building. Is that correct? Opening the rule book, cracking it open.
Yep. So, any card that's going to have get closer to, look in the back cover here, there's an attack range icon. That's the little eyeball with the crosshair in the middle. Any card that has get closer to is almost certainly going to have that icon, which means as part of your target selection, you're only going to look at things that you actually will be able to fire on.
Cool.
There are a few places in the game. I don't know if any of them are in Scouring Sands offhand, because we're now about 300 cards deep, and I don't have them all memorized. I have some of them memorized. What? The mother of all spreadsheets drives this project. But no, so there probably are, I won't say there are none, because there probably are some, cards that have more cautious type play that also include a target icon like that, in which case yes, you're correct. There will sometimes be moments where, like, yeah, you'll want to advance toward the target and stay hidden because there's nothing to shoot at.
Okay. Takeo Kurita asks, is there a very rough time plan already for the second Aces box? Before you answer that, I'm going to say that what Josh knows, because they deliver to Catalyst, and then Catalyst has all the production and everything to do. So this is not like Josh turns it in and it's going to be ready 2 months later. Like,
well, actually, so that might be true for some of the stuff we've worked on, and certainly that was true in Shadowrun. One of the things that Randall and Ray were very interested to try with Aces was actually not having Catalyst production staff do layout. So the Aces Scouring Sandbox is actually not only like a lot of the design and development by me, but all the graphic design is actually me as well. I had some guidance from Dak, the usual layout guy over at Catalyst, to get that BattleTech style. But when we deliver finished product to Catalyst, it's pretty well finished. Like,
but we still have all of manufacturing,
yes.
And the models need to be like the molds need to be made and everything else. Like, it's.
I will say that from everything I have heard internally, and certainly where I know Snowblind is at in terms of development, I would say it's probably 95%. Like, it's pretty well there.
Okay, good.
I have not seen renders for miniatures yet, but I know where they were on the production pipeline internally. So it's all in process, and I know the goal was to kind of get these out on a fairly regular clip, and I think we're very much on target to do that.
Yeah. And
it won't be another 2-year wait for the next box in this set.
And as soon as we get that production schedule done, we should be able to have a more close estimate, but knowing that things fall behind all the time. So, another question from Billy. After the first 4 boxes, what faction would you like to use?
So I actually, when we pitched concepts to make box sets, in the beginning there was 1 box. And then the narrative discussion happened, and then we pitched 3 boxes. And then Randall said, well, actually there are 4 Ilclan era source books, so it really should be 4 boxes. And in the process of doing that and looking through those source books for hooks and seeing what made sense I did the multi-dimensional Sudoku puzzle more than 4 times. I did it for some other boxes that we pitched and didn't use. So there are some cutting room floor scraps, if you will, at least conceptually, of like these minis, this box, this setting, this planet, like all that. Some of that I'm very interested in. I would actually like to go into some other eras, as much as I like Ilclan. I would love to see more stuff with the Word of Blake.
Cool.
And there was a moment actually where I pitched some additional Word of Blake type stuff, including an adventure that was not set in Ilclan.
Ooh.
So maybe, you never say never. Like, all of these, the sky is the limit, apparently.
Cool. Awesome. Takeo Kurita asks, are there any plans to bring digital add-ons for Aces, like another campaign or some more missions?
Let's see. Nothing is official or confirmed. We've had some development discussion about it, with one exception that I actually would like to talk about, and that is the Fox Network boys over at Six Sides of Gaming are developing with... I've been doing some consulting with them to kind of help them streamline this and get it presentable, but they have been developing what we are calling Aces Legacy, which is a tournament. I say tournament in air quotes, but an organized play kind of format that is like a three scenario mini campaign that you would play over the course of a single day, like you would a tournament.
Oh, cool.
But it's you and your friends against a game master who runs the opposing force.
Okay.
For the 3 adventures. So there's a whole set of stuff that we've been talking through about that. Like, the scenarios that get used for that adventure would not be from Scouring Sands or other Aces boxes. They're original scenarios. So there is new content, and I don't necessarily know what will happen to those after they've been done as events, but I imagine they will be published in some kind of PDF form.
Cool. Awesome. Kickstarter question from G Stillings. Any updates on when we might see replacements for Kickstarter mechs for the salvage boxes that had tanks in them? Salvage boxes, as predicted, sold out. So they are being reprinted, and then we'll get those fulfilled. So it'll take a little time, but we do have it on the list. Conventions. Gus asks, will there be any BattleTech releases announced at PAX? I am assuming so. But Randall always surprises me. Usually at PAX, what he does is he bustles around right before we're going to be on stream and like brings out a ton of crap and sets it on the table. And I'm like, this is a lot. So it's always a surprise for me. Yeah.
He's going to have a proxy to do it to you this year. Apparently.
Yeah. Now it's gonna be virtual, so we'll see.
I would
won't
actually
have
like
the
to
same
tack
Christmas excitement.
Can I tack on a follow-up question there, which is, will we get the 2 Karita Force packs at PAX Unplugged?
No.
No?
I don't think they're here yet. I think those got pushed actually because of shipping, I think, or manufacture. I don't know.
They were at Essenspiel, so I don't know if that's a distribution thing or if those were like air freight.
We airship some of those in. If it's there, it's news to me.
Fingers crossed, everyone. My local players included.
I mean, it was also news to me that Lauren isn't going to PAX Unplugged all of a sudden, so you never know. So it's possible, but I haven't heard anything about it. I think Aces is the big thing that they were bringing, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
I'm excited for that to be the case.
Yeah, I usually what they'll do for the pre-releases is like they're still in manufacturing. I just knocked a bunch of stuff down. They're still in manufacturing and everything, but if they've got some ready early, then they'll just airship that quantity kind of thing. So, unknown.
Coolio.
You're welcome. Let's see, what else do I have? I think we, this one, Billy asks, will future Aces releases past the first 4 be tied to campaign books?
That's a great question. At the moment, all of that development is done by 2 separate teams with like no overlap. But that's not to say that wouldn't be the case in the future. Ray is a very busy guy. I don't get that much time to talk to Ray. But when I do, that's the kind of stuff that he and I talk about.
Okay.
Just to see, because I would very much like Aces to fit. Fit into the product line and sort of dovetail with other things that are in the BattleTech release schedule. One of which was, of course, Hotspots Interlands. That's part of why we got Aces first. And in fact, I remember there was some entertaining hand-wringing internally, maybe, about like, hey, this is the planet that got picked for Aces Scouring Sands. Nobody touch it. Get away.
Fair.
Get away. There was a lot of that happening internally, just so that we made sure that like nobody's stories crashed into each other.
Right. Billy also asks, any chance we get an Aces deck for Raven Alliance Con for Aerospace?
I mean, I'll confirm for you that Box 4 does feature the Raven Alliance as the opposing force.
Ooh, spoiler.
So they're in there. They make such good baddies, and like, man, they have so many cool toys in Ilclan, and they have not really been fighting too many people. So if you haven't read Ilkhan's Eyes Only yet, I suggest you dive into that source book, because there's so much good stuff Raven Alliance-wise happening in the story come 3152. And I really wanted to go that direction with the Ilkhan's Eyes Only tie-in. It's just, I'll mention this briefly, it's not set at Terra. It's the other fourth of the Raven Alliance galaxies that it centers around is doing something back in the Outworlds Alliance.
Neat. Then I've got let's see, we've got last minute questions coming in. Prussian Havoc, any update on Leviathan's international fulfillment? Not yet, hasn't reached the hubs yet, so no word on that just yet. Leviathan's novel trilogy from Wargrim, let me see if John responded to me last time I asked.
Reaching year 3172 in MechWarrior 5 is one heck of an achievement, Crazy Slane.
Yeah.
That game starts in like pre-clan invasion, so you have 120 years of in-universe history to play your mercenary company for. Do your pilots age out and die in MechWarrior 5? Because that's a multi-generational mercenary company at that point.
I don't think I have an answer, not at least one that I have scrolled up for quite a while and seen. So I'll have to put a new question in for him. He is traveling to PAX though today, so I will not be able to get a story or get an answer from you right now. Date on Lev's trilogy, but it's sent, so hopefully I'll have that for next time.
Bezkar, of course, one of our regular Six Sides of Gaming followers, asks, will there be a priority Paul Clarkson card in the Aces deck as Tommy promised us? I will say, no, that didn't get in the final product, but there is a lovely Destroy Objective token. Feel free to give that to whatever Paul is controlling, and the Aces deck commander decks will automatically go, that's gotta die.
Awesome. Another question, where's the hottest Shadowrun gaming at PAX Unplugged after dark? I could be wrong, but the past 2 years I've been at PAX, demos are in the vendor hall right next to where our booth is. I don't know if that's still the case this year. I would assume so. And so when the vendor hall closes at 6, I don't think there's gaming, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just block off the booth part. I don't know. But so I'm not planning anything.
You might have a satellite area in the open gaming that's near the booth, like maybe within sight of. Yeah, a lot of BattleTech events were run that way at PAX Unplugged last year.
Okay.
But the vendor hall is sort of a separate. They usually cordon it off.
Okay.
After 6 p.m.
The PAX Unplugged events page is going to be the best place to find if there's going to be any after hours stuff. What else do we have here? I think that is all the questions. A lot of appreciation for your work, Josh. So thank you so much for all that you've put in for this. People are really excited.
Yeah, it's been it's kind of amazing to hold the finished product after it's been probably 2 years, almost full time for me, I would say. 2 years development on Aces as a system. So this box set, not 2 years, but like the whole business end to end, probably 2 years now. And It looks like going to be at least another 6 months yet by the time we get the other boxes done. And out.
All right, fair enough. Lorcan's being silly in chat. Thank you guys for being here. I think next week is... I don't remember who my guest is lined up for next week. It might be Keith again, or maybe he's after XP Network. I don't know. It's confusing. It's a surprise. You'll find out when I do. But thank you guys for being here. Josh, thank you so much. I'm excited to chat more with you and see more of Aces at PAX Unplugged on stream.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
The Fox Network boys have brought a bunch of scenery, actually. So they took it upon themselves to make full-on foam hills that match the Aces box set ones. So they've got
cool.
Sort of blinged out version of the Aces box set.
Awesome.
And we'll play that, I suspect.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.